So GPT-5 is officially here as OpenAI has finally released its most advanced and best AI model to date across all accounts on ChatGPT. Both paid and free users of ChatGPT have access to GPT-5. And in this video, I'm not going to do your standard hype content. There's a million other videos out there for that showing all these crazy demos and what you can build with GPT-5. I'm going to try to keep this extremely practical. I'm going to cover the most important points in my opinion that you need to know about GPT-5, and I'm also going to be covering some real-world examples of what I'm doing in my business and how I can compare GPT-5 to what I'm currently doing with Claude, for instance. So I hope you enjoy this type of content and be sure to stick around till the very end. And if this happens to be your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan, and I help business owners and creators leverage AI to scale content, save time, and ultimately make more money online. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools, prompts, and even automation templates, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. You can find the link for this in the video description or pinned comment below. So a quick disclaimer before I dive into all these details here. For whatever reason, I have GPT-5 on my free account of ChatGPT, but I still do not have it on my ChatGPT Plus account. I've logged out, logged back in, refreshed the page a million times, and I still do not have access to GPT-5 on my Plus account. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I do have it on my free account. So bear with me here as I'm going through demos. I'm not sure how much usage I will have, so just keep that in mind. So I'm on OpenAI's website on their official GPT-5 page, and I will leave a link to this and everything else that I mentioned in the video description below. I do think one of the most important points to talk about here is that GPT-5 is now OpenAI's all-in-one flagship model that can accomplish anything from writing, creativity, ideation, repurposing content, general AI use cases paired with reasoning. Versus before, they have this little, video demo here. I'd recommend watching it. You'd have to choose between all these different models: GPT-4o, GPT 4.5, O3 for reasoning, O4 mini for reasoning, GPT 4.1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It could be extremely overwhelming trying to figure out, well, what AI model should I use for this particular task? And now OpenAI has broken this all down into an all-in-one flagship model called GPT-5. I think that is one of the biggest updates or biggest takeaways here, is that it now is encompassed in one model. And they explain more about this one unified system on their GPT-5 page, along with all these other areas like coding, writing, health, etc. Apparently, GPT-5 is now their strongest coding model to date. I'm not deep in the coding world. I mostly use AI for marketing, content creation, general business tasks, things like that. So those who are in the development world, let me know if GPT-5 is better than Claude 4.1 Opus for coding related tasks. I'm curious to hear your take on that. They also have all these live demos here, jumping ball runner and all these cool little things. And I'm not into this side of it as well. If you're interested in these types of demos, these extravagant demos that aren't really applicable to everyday real world situations, in my opinion, I'd recommend watching their GPT-5 announcement live stream, over an hour long. I'll leave that in the video description below as well. Now, let's get to some things that we actually care more about here. Creative expression in writing. OpenAI claims that GPT-5 is now their most capable writing collaborator yet. So GPT-4o and GPT 4.5 were those previous models that were their best writing models. So I'm going to test this later in this video against Claude Sonnet 4 to see if it actually pans out to what they're saying. They have health here, so they talk about how GPT-5 is the best model yet for health-related questions. They have a side-by-side comparison of GPT-4o, which was their previous everyday use case model, to now GPT-5. So wedding toast, poetry, tour planning, rehab plan. Some of these, again, they're not super real-world use cases. Like, sure, they're one-offs, but in my mind, these are not general, everyday, real-world use cases that you would come to AI for. Maybe I'm overthinking that. Then they get into benchmarks here. You guys have heard me talk about benchmarks on previous update and release videos. Always take these with a grain of salt. These are on OpenAI's website. Of course, they're going to tout GPT-5 as the best model available in probably all the relevant categories. So I don't put too much stock in the benchmarks. And then they get into agentic tool use. And I know it's frustrating how I still do not have GPT-5 on my Plus account after I've refreshed it a million times at this point. But where I'm really intrigued with where this is going to go in terms of agentic tool use is how this is going to work with ChatGPT agent mode. I'm looking forward to testing this once I finally get access. This was OpenAI's big announcement a few weeks ago. And on a similar note, inside automations, we can now use GPT-5 via the API. So I'm on make.com, but this should also be applicable to N8N, Gumloop, Zapier, etc. When I pop open the OpenAI module, I now notice GPT-5 models readily available. So in this automation, for instance, where I'm automating my entire social media system, I'll leave that tutorial in the description below if you're interested. I can now leverage these GPT-5 models using the API, the system, the mini, the nano. So I'm going to have to dive into this on the API side and explore how GPT-5 works in that regard. So if we go back to the GPT-5 page, there's all sorts of benchmarks and evaluations. You guys can look at all that stuff on your own time. There's one that really made me stop and think about this a little bit. This is another important point I should mention, is when it comes to reasoning and efficient thinking. There are two models available to paid users of ChatGPT. We have GPT-5, the general flagship model, and we also have GPT-5 with thinking. So this is similar to how Anthropic does it with Claude. We have Claude 4 Sonnet, the original model, and then we have Claude 4 Sonnet with thinking mode enabled. So I don't know if they pulled that hybrid idea from Anthropic. I'm not really sure how that all works. But anyways, with this graph, this essentially is showing that GPT-5 with thinking from a reasoning capability standpoint is blowing OpenAI's O3 model out of the water. And O3 was their most advanced reasoning model up until this release of GPT-5 with thinking. And again, there's all sorts of other information on here that I'm not going to go through. The last point I want to make on this particular page is the GPT-5 Pro option. So if you remember O3 Pro, this was an exclusive model available to only users of ChatGPT Pro for that $200 a month price point. So I would imagine that this is the same here. Those members of ChatGPT Pro for $200 probably get an exclusive GPT-5 Pro model. So I also wanted to call that out. And if you're curious how GPT-5 compares to other popular AI models out there, this is a really cool site called lmarena.ai. I'll leave it in the description below, where basically it goes through and a lot of members, thousands of people in this community are super users of AI, frequently testing these models across different categories, such as text, web dev, text to image, vision, so on and so forth. And what do you notice here? GPT-5 is already on top above Gemini 2.5 Pro, OpenAI O3, Grok 4, Qwen 3, Claude Opus 4, and all these other different categories. Now, I wouldn't put it past Sam Altman and OpenAI to somehow manipulate this. These are just the types of games that these big companies play to try to deter public perception of how a model actually is. Won't go down that rabbit hole, but it's definitely possible. And I also want to say that Sam Altman and OpenAI are the ultimate PR machine. I haven't seen a lot of negativity or bad press about the release of GPT-5. It's all over national news. Everyone is talking about it. It's one of the top trends right now on the internet, and most of the sentiment is positive. Now, am I saying that GPT-5 isn't a bad model? No, I'm not saying that at all. In fact, after running a few quick tests and hearing from my other, companions in the AI world, people are impressed with GPT-5. But what I have to explain to you is that it doesn't matter what these new models are, what the next shiny object is, if you don't understand the fundamentals of AI, of what you should even be using AI for, how it can improve your current tasks, how you can automate things, then all of these next model stuff is irrelevant in my opinion. AI is not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems. You have to understand the fundamentals and how to actually use it before we just chase the next model and continue in this demo loop 24/7. So hopefully I didn't lose you after that quick rant, but now let's actually get to the good stuff and test GPT-5 against one of the models that I'm using a lot in my business for content and marketing related tasks, which is Claude Sonnet 4. And to make this comparison fair, I'm not using a Claude project that's trained on my instructions and provided knowledge. So I'm just going to the main screen of Claude versus the main screen of GPT-5. And in this particular example, I wanted to repurpose one of my YouTube videos into an engaging email newsletter. This is what I do every single week. So I'm asking it to repurpose a YouTube video on the best AI tools for marketing and content. I provided the title, I provided the video transcript, and did the exact same thing over on Claude. So now let's go ahead and hit enter here. And the first thing that I want to look at is speed. So I noticed that it's really similar to GPT-4o, the way that this is moving in terms of speed. Claude Sonnet 4, really the same thing. I don't really notice a difference there. So I'm actually going to skip ahead and let's compare these outputs. All right, so let's quickly look at the outputs now of this email newsletter. Let's start with the subject line: 7 AI tools every marketer will use in 2025 and why you should too. Now, I will say this is way too long. It'll cut off, especially on mobile, but I like where this is going. With the relevant emoji up front, 7 AI tools every marketer will use in 2025. I'd probably remove this part, but that's not bad, right? And if we look at Claude Sonnet 4 up in the top right, stop wasting money on AI tools, 7 that actually work. I like that as well. It's a little long, but I really like to stop wasting money on AI tools. And now let's actually look at the body. Hi, first name. Let's be real. Finding the right. So first of all, there's an M dash there. I don't like that right off the bat. So hopefully we could go in and figure out an instruction to exclude that. Finding the right AI tools for marketing feels like searching for a diamond. Everyone's pushing their favorite tools, blah, blah, blah. I like how it's short up in the intro, and then it just gets right into the AI tools. 1 through 7, bonus mentions. I like that. Pro tip to smarter marketing. PS, here's the full video. I actually like that, right? It's short, it's concise, gets to the point, gets all the valuable information in there. And if we look at what we get with Claude Sonnet 4, I realize I don't have my screen all the way pulled up to the right. If we look at what we get with Claude Sonnet 4 right here on its artifact feature, what I notice is that this email is way longer. So I don't necessarily like that. It's not as concise as what we got with GPT-5. I do like the hookup here, though. The AI tool landscape is a mess. Hundreds of revolutionary marketing tools flooding your inbox daily, creators pushing their affiliate links. Sound familiar? I like this intro a little better that Claude produced. But again, this is still way too long. Content creation powerhouse. So what I don't like about what Claude did in that instance, it didn't break it down 1 through 7 in like that listicle format that GPT-5 did. So while this isn't bad, again, it's super long, but what I do like about Claude Sonnet 4, again, there's no M dashes. The writing style has always been, to me, more empathetic, more human-like, versus what GPT-4o and all the other GPT model predecessors sounded like. But in terms of the actual copy side of it on GPT-5, I don't mind this for the most part. Besides that little M dash here at the beginning, I think this did a pretty good job considering there was no training or custom instructions behind it. So one question I would have is, I would assume this is going to be the case. GPT-5 is going to be that default model that we can now use in custom GPTs and also Chat GPT projects, which I'm really excited to test that out once I get access on my Plus account. So now let's explore another real-world use case that I would argue is applicable to most users of AI, and this is the concept of ideation. Using AI for ideation, whether it's YouTube video ideas, blog post ideas, social media post ideas, the next big business idea, so on and so forth. And so in this particular instance, where I'm testing GPT-5 against Claude Sonnet 4, I'm asking it to give me 5 catchy video ideas with a title and hook for my YouTube channel. I gave it information on my target audience, I attached an image of my channel, and I also provided the channel URL. I did the exact same thing to Claude. I made sure web search was enabled. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on both platforms and skip ahead when the output is complete. All right, so let's look through these quick, and let's start with GPT-5 on the left-hand side. So the video idea, 10 AI tools you wish you found sooner, 2025. I just did a video on that, so that's pretty relevant. The AI content system that prints money, step by step. I like that little buzzword, prints money. And then for the hook, it says, imagine creating an entire month of content in one afternoon. I'll show you the exact workflow that makes it possible. I actually like that idea. How I can use AI on every platform at once, from idea to viral post in 10 minutes, AI marketing hack, stop using ChatGPT wrong, do this instead. I actually really like those title and video ideas overall. If we look at Claude, AI replaced my entire marketing team. Clone your voice and face with AI. Secret AI prompt that writes viral content. AI business that makes 10K a month. ChatGPT versus new AI tools battle. I actually don't really like these titles. They're not optimized for SEO versus I actually like what GPT-5 did. They're adding numbers, they're adding a listicle element, a year for recency, they're adding step by step. So I like the way they formatted those titles a lot better. In terms of the ideas, I don't necessarily mind the ideas that Claude Sonnet 4 came up with, but I'm actually going to give this to GPT-5 in this particular example. Now, the big disclaimer here is if I were to ever be using this in a real world application, I would always be using a Claude project behind this. That way I have provided data, provided instructions to get better outputs versus just coming to the home screen. But I wanted to make this test fair since I don't have a customized version of GPT-5 yet, but I really like what I'm getting in this particular example. So I'm going to run one more example between GPT-5 and Claude Sonnet 4, and in this particular use case, I want it to help me generate engaging social media captions that complement my short form videos. Now, to get more specific with you so you understand this real world use case, inside my Dropbox or Google Drive, you'll see I have a bunch of short form videos that I'm going to post across my social media platforms. This helps fuel my entire social media automation, and so what I'm trying to do here is generate captions inside a spreadsheet. That way I can fully automate my entire social media system. Again, I'll leave that tutorial in the description below. One of my personal favorites, would recommend checking it out. So anyways, what I did is I took a screenshot of these video file names. I uploaded that screenshot to GPT-5, and I did the same thing over here with Claude. And I said, I'm going to upload a folder of videos, and I want you to pay attention to their file names. I've named each video based on a topic and target keyword. I'm going to post these across all platforms. I want you to create SEO optimized captions for each platforms and best practices, giving it a little instructions here. So what I'm going to do is hit enter. I'm going to hit enter again, and I'm going to skip ahead and wait till this is complete. All right, so let's take a look at these results quick. One thing I noticed that I do not like that Claude did is it broke out each description by platform. One for YouTube Shorts, one for TikTok, one for Instagram Reels, versus GPT-5 did what I instructed. It had one caption for each video that you apply to all social platforms, not one by one. And then I would go through here, and if I like these, I would ask it to reformat it in a style that I could copy and paste into Excel or Google Sheets, whatever you're using, and then dump it into column C for captions. So I just wanted to explain that use case real quick. But anyways, let's read some of these captions to see if they're high quality or not. So advice for starting a YouTube channel. Thinking of starting a YouTube channel but don't know where to begin? Discover the proven tips to get your first subscribers fast. What's your biggest thing holding you back from starting? Share below. And then the 3 relevant hashtags. So I like the call to action, I like the hook, and I like the hashtags. AI agents versus automation. Again, I don't like the M dash. Which will actually transform your workflow? Get the answer in under 60 seconds. So I like these, right? And again, I'm not even using a custom GPT or a project, which I would normally do, or even an automation with more specific details and instructions, which I would normally do if I were doing a task like this. But I just like the results that I'm getting from GPT-5 without any previous instructions or knowledge. And if I look at what we get with Claude Sonnet 4, let's look at YouTube Shorts, for instance. The biggest mistake new YouTubers make that kills their channel. What I don't like, again, with this is these captions are very long. Again, it kind of followed my instructions, but it didn't. I just like what I'm getting from GPT-5 in this particular example. AI agents versus automations. The difference will blow your mind and change how you work forever. Not a bad hook, but again, this caption's too long, in my opinion. And again, this is one example. I would be using a Claude project if I were actually using this, but just at a quick glance, in this particular use case here of taking these video titles and turning them into engaging and SEO optimized social captions, I have to give the nod to GPT-5 in this example. Now, there's a million more examples I could run through, but those 3 were top of mind for me as something that I'm actually doing in the real world. But again, I would be using a GPT project or an automation if I were actually doing this. And unfortunately, I do not have this in my Plus account, but I wanted to get a YouTube video up so I could share my overall thoughts about GPT-5 with you guys. And on that note about my overall thoughts, I posted this on my X and LinkedIn account about the AI hype cycle, where where now we're back at ChatGPT, and we're back, like I said in that caption there, where now it was Claude, where they just released Claude 4.1 Opus. So that's where I was going to go next. This has been a massive week of AI model updates with Claude Opus 4.1. We also had OpenAI release another model, GPT OSS. Elon Musk is already talking about Grok 5. And so on and on and on, we're talking about brand new models in addition to GPT-5 already. But they are all the hype right now. And again, I'm going to come back to this. I said it earlier. If you're just constantly chasing the next shiny object, the next best AI model, but you're not actually sure about practicality and you don't understand what good looks like for me, if I didn't understand what good looks like for social media captions, for video ideas, titles, hooks, etc., all of this would be irrelevant because I actually know what moves the needle as I grew this channel from nothing to 22,000 subscribers in just 2 years. I have a decent understanding SEO-wise and content-wise of what moves the needle. And so I can use AI to kind of fuel my ideation versus just relying on it and acting it like it's a silver bullet, because it's not. But anyways, I could keep rambling about all of this forever. I want to know your guys' thoughts on GPT-5, how you're using it. Do you like it? I look forward to making more videos on this in the near future. Once I finally get access to it on my ChatGPT Plus account, I can start playing around with GPT-5 within custom GPTs, using it in agent mode, using it in automations, and so much more. But anyways, if you've made it this far into the video, I truly appreciate you. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you found value. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is a very hot topic in the world of AI right now, but most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.